Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel, Colonati. Today I'm going to be revisiting a past list of anticipated book releases and letting you know if I actually read them, and if I did, what did I think? Did they meet my expectations? This batch is from October, November, and December of 2019. I'm still trying to catch up on these. Mostly I don't like to do a revisit video until I have attempted to read a majority of them, which is why I've been putting this particular one off. It is a mixed bag of things that I have read and liked or hated, things I have DNF'd and things I have skipped or haven't gotten around to yet. So let's get into it. First on this list is Ursula Vernon's first proper adult horror novel. It is The Twisted Ones, published under her T. Kingfisher pen name. Now, I'm not a horror person, but over the last few years I have followed some of my favorite authors into the horror genre, and it has been a pretty good experience actually. I really enjoyed The Twisted Ones, and I found it to be suspenseful and a little bit terrifying, but not overwhelmingly so. So probably the right kind of horror for me. This is about a woman who goes to clean out her dead grandmother's house, encounters strange things in the woods, and reads about weird things in her, I think, grandfather's journal, and it's creepy as hell sometimes. I still get the creeps when I walk by like the trees in the local park at night. I think about this book all the time, and like if something taps on the window, I have a rose bush in the front of my house that taps on the window right in front of me right now, and it is so freaking creepy at night now when the wind is blowing. But anyway, I enjoyed this. It has Ursula Vernon's humor, her style. I like her character types and the settings. I think part of what makes this horror both approachable but kind of really creepy to me is that it just seems rooted in the real world and contemporary life and everything. I really enjoy that. I've also read kind of the companion to this, her second horror novel, and also enjoyed it. Then there is a book that I DNF'd, Escaping Exodus by Nicky Drayden. I was looking forward to this, you know, some proper sci-fi from Drayden. I read her debut novel, Prey of Gods, and quite enjoyed it. But this one, I put it down very quickly after about 2 chapters because I hated one of the main characters. I think it's been about 2 years since I tried to read this, so I don't remember much about that experience, but I just knew I was not going to get along with one of the protagonists and her actions and everything, so I just let this one go. At some point, Nicky Drayden will probably write other science fiction work that is not in this world, and I will jump on that, but I don't think that this particular one or its sequel is for me. Next is The Rosewater Redemption by Tade Thompson. This one I actually haven't read yet, though I do still plan on it. It is the conclusion to his Wormwood trilogy, which is kind of about a very odd, slow-moving alien invasion focused in Nigeria, but also like globally as well. And I enjoyed the first book a lot. That one is Rosewater. I was a little bit let down by Rosewater Insurrection. It didn't work for me quite as well, even though I think that the point of the story, the plot, is a bit clearer in that one. So I will eventually read Redemption and finish out the series. It just hasn't happened yet. Next are 2 books that I have read and really enjoyed. One is Interference by Sue Burke. This is the sequel to Semiosis. I had thought that this was just going to be a duology. I think it was billed as one, but I recently saw something that seemed to indicate that Sue Burke is planning on writing a 3rd book in the series at some point, and I'm looking forward to it. So Interference is a number of years after the events of Semiosis and basically involves like re-establishing contact between the colony on Pax, an alien planet, and humans from Earth, and a lot of misunderstandings. It continues to explore, I think, some of the themes of colonization and colonialism, the relationship between humans and indigenous life on the planet and other alien species as well, and just language and communication, interpretation, all of that. And I find all of this really, really interesting, though I seem to recall that it just took me longer to get through this book. It was a more challenging, emotionally complex read, and that's mostly what I remember about it. Then there is a story collection by Susan Palwick called All Worlds Are Real, and I loved this. I picked it up because I knew it contained a couple of Palwick's more recent stories that I had really enjoyed and that I had like nominated for the Hugo Award and stuff. So I figured this would probably be a ringer. Like, I just knew I would already like some of the stories in it, and I ended up enjoying the entire collection a lot. Just yes, I will definitely be searching for more by Susan Palwick in the future. She's been around publishing since I think the 70s or 80s, and I think mostly in short fiction format, though she has some novels out there. But I can say for sure that her short fiction has always been great for me. A couple of the stories from this that I particularly enjoyed, Ash, which I always describe as like the giving tree for adults. Then Remote Presence, and is it Homecoming? I'm not sure. Yeah, these all like have one word titles that don't trigger my memory very much, but I remember thinking while reading it that almost every single story in this had been solid, like just really, really good. The Midwinter Witch by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is another conclusion to a series. It is the third and last in a middle grade or young adult graphic novel series that I think began with The Witch Boy or The Hidden Witch. I can never remember. It has a title that's very similar to another middle grade novel that came out about the same time. Anyway, this series is about a boy named Aster who comes from a family where all the women are witches and all the men are shapeshifters, but he knows that he is a witch and he doesn't want to be a shapeshifter. And I loved the whole series. I really enjoyed The Midwinter Witch, and while it is called The Conclusion and I appreciated it as a conclusion, I know some other people have read it and thought that it was a little bit more open-ended, that they might have wanted more to wrap up the story. I thought it was fine, but would certainly not complain if there was a fourth graphic novel in the series at some point. I would love to come back to it at one point or another. Another one that I haven't read yet, but I'm thinking I might still read, is The Lights Go Out in Lychford by Paul Cornell. This is fourth or fifth in the Witches of Lychford novella series. The first one, The Witches of Lychford, was one of the original Tor.com novellas, and I really enjoyed that. I think I've read the first three, and I just haven't continued on with the series. At this point, I need to go back and reread from the beginning, and I think I will do that at some point, but for some reason my library only has the audiobooks of these, and I'm not sure if I really want to listen to them on audio or if I want to continue reading them in print, which is what I've done before. So at some point I will try to come back to this one, but it's going to take a little bit of a series reread before I get there. And then the final book, I hate to end on a negative note, but it's just what it is. Dead Astronauts by Jeff Vandermeer. I was really looking forward to this as it is kind of maybe a companion to Born. It's set in the same world as Born, and that is a science fiction novel I did find very interesting. It's bizarre and weird like a lot of Vandermeer's work is, but Dead Astronauts took that to the nth degree. This is an experimental novel. It is experimental in the writing, in the structure, in the storytelling, and I frankly found it incomprehensible, and I did not like it. I did not enjoy the experience of reading it. I got nothing out of it. I could not figure out if there was actually a coherent story somewhere in the novel. It just not my thing at all. This is, I think, Vandermeer at his most bizarre and weird. Some people will appreciate it. I just flat out did not like, would not recommend unless you're really into bizarre experimental science fiction. That is it for this batch of books that I was really looking forward to at the end of 2019. Let me know if you have also read any of these. I'm very curious if people have read some of the ones that I DNF'd or have skipped so far. What did you think about them? Maybe give me a kick in the pants to actually pick them up and finish them this time. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back to talk to you again in the near future. And until then, bye.